help us understand this incident, I'm joined by ecologist at the Centre for Wildlife Management at the University of Pretoria, Yolanda Pretorius. Ms. Pretorius, good evening and thanks for joining us. So you've seen the video footage of this incident. Are you able to make any preliminary assessments based on what you saw?
Yes. Well, what I can say, it's difficult without knowing what happened before. The thing that everybody should remember is that you always need to know that you don't know what the person before you did. So there could have been another tourist that actually revved at the elephant or hooted at the elephant that also increased the irritation for the animal. But what these tourists did, they pulled far too close to the animal and they were actually following him. And it looked like they at a stage tried to pass him. And this is very dangerous. People don't always realize these are not circus animals, they're still wild animals and they need their personal space.
What behavioral signs can one spot to warn that an attack might be imminent?
Well, first of all, this was a bull elephant, and for this time of year, during the wet season, normally these bulls are in what they call must, or often they are in must. However, during this incident, I saw that it was raining, so it was difficult to tell whether the animal was in must, because during must, the animal has secretions thick secretions down its face, and it constantly dribbles urine. Now, during this stage, the animal has got very high testosterone levels, and then also with that is increased aggression. But in terms of body language, with the head swaying, the ears lifted and spread a little bit open, especially at the scene where the elephant confronted the vehicle and went around. He stood tall, holding his head very high with his ears spread and swishing his trunk towards the vehicle and actually telling them to please go away.
You talk about must, and I think it's an important point. I mean, for all of us who are listening to this incident, you know, these are new revelations all the time, talking about this increased testosterone level in the creature's bloodstream, which increases its aggression. Officials, after this creature was put down, say that he seemed to have a wound and he might have been involved in a fight. Does that also elevate levels of testosterone?
It won't necessarily elevate testosterone levels, but it will definitely make the animal more agitated and more irritated, you know, more easily irritable. So that is something that you always need to keep in the back of your mind. The golden rule with handling elephants and driving towards elephants in the wild is just keep your space and respect their personal space.
Having said that, Ms. Pretorius, do you think then that visits like these should be supervised by a ranger to prevent a possible attack and to prevent you know, a creature having to be put down?
Well, in places like the Kruger National Park, I think it's got quite a legacy of people doing self-drive. I think there just needs to be more awareness. Myself and a few colleagues of mine have started an organization called the Elephant Specialist Advisory Group, and we are currently busy working on a field guide for tourists on how to easily understand elephant behavior, and we make some recommendations on how you should behave in different situations. It's never just a clear cut. This is what you should do, because it depends a lot on the history of the animals and, like I said, what happened to that animal during the day before.
It's very sad, Yolanda, and we've had incidents before. There was a man injured and the elephant had to be put down. Officials in that case also saying the animal had been suffering from a condition where its testosterone levels had been elevated. Is it always necessary after an attack? Why is it always necessary after an attack to put down an elephant or a creature?
My personal view is the animal should not necessarily be put down. I know of several cases where actually there was a thorough investigation done on exactly what happened and also what the history of the particular elephant was, and then only after that you can come to a decision and say, okay, maybe this animal is really giving us problems, and this is not the first offense, if you can call it that. But you have to be very sure that you are it is the same animal that is causing the problems, and that you can positively ID this animal. And that's not necessarily always the way out. Like I said, it's every time that a human makes a mistake, the elephant pays for it, and I don't think that's always right.
Some very useful information there. Thank you so much for your time. Yolanda Pretorius is an ecologist at the University of Pretoria.
You deserve to know more.
eNCA.com